To become truly great at an instrument, you need two things. You need a lot of free time and you need a lot of motivation. And unfortunately for us, you need both of these things together. If you have all the free time in the world, but you're not really motivated to practice or learn, you're not really going to get anywhere. And on the contrary to that, you might have all the motivation in the world, but if life is keeping you busy doing other things, well, obviously you're not going to get that great at an instrument doing it that way either. Now, for most of my adult life, I've been a diligent practicer, even if that just meant sneaking in 20 or 30 minutes a day. But for the last 6 weeks, I haven't practiced the guitar at all, at least not in a traditional sense. And it's kind of driving me crazy. But I think it's going to be a necessary step for me to progress as a musician. And the reality is, it might just be what you need as well. If that sounds counterintuitive, let me explain. Whether you love it or hate it, the reality of today's world is that with just 2 minutes of scrolling, you can be exposed to some of the world's best virtuosos in any instrument. And as a musician, this can kind of be a blessing and a curse. On the one hand, right, we have access to some great instruction from some of the top educators in any genre and in any instrument. 30, 40 years ago, or even 20 years ago, right, this would have been unheard of unless you lived in New York or in LA or in Nashville. But on the flip side, when you're constantly exposed to these incredible levels of talent, it's easy to get caught in kind of that self-destructive feedback loop to the point where you keep asking yourself and you keep seeing this and then you think, that's insane. How am I ever going to be that good? And this can be incredibly damaging as a musician. So why did I quit practicing 6 weeks ago? Well, to begin with, baby number 2 happened. My second son was born in early January, and for obvious reasons, this is even going to further cut down the amount of free time I have. I wouldn't trade it for anything. That's not what I'm saying, but just the reality of it is that I'm no longer able to get away for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, right? Like everything in life, it's a bit of a trade-off. But it forced me to have an honest conversation with myself that I think I'd been kind of putting off since my first child was born. And that is, I have less time, right, to pursue this stuff. So if I'm able to get away for an hour or two after dinner, maybe 4 nights a week, what's going to be the best use of that time? Basically, I had to come to terms with the fact that my time is limited and I need to be as intentional as possible with how I spend it. The problem with being a musician, I don't know if it's a problem, but the reality of being a musician is you're always going to wish that you were better. And the way to fix that is to practice more, right? If you want to get better, you practice more. But that can't be the end goal, right? We don't become musicians just so that we can practice our instrument. No, there should be more to it than that. Which is why, at least for the time being, I'm done practicing guitar. It's why, with the time that I do have, I'm going to be directing it towards other things, other musical endeavors that I've always wanted to do or to get started, but I've always put off. Stuff like building this channel, making this video. I've always wanted to learn pedal steel, which I think you can see right about there. For so long, my default was, I have an hour, I come out here, and I just go right to practicing, learning the next lick, learning the next technique. And because of that, stuff like songwriting, stuff like working on my singing chops, learning other instruments even, all of that has kind of gone by the wayside. And I've finally gotten to the point where my time is constricted, right? We talked in the beginning about time and motivation. The motivation's still there, but my time is constricted. And so I've really had to take an honest look and say, okay, this is what I want to dedicate my time towards. I'm willing to put some of this stuff on a back burner for the time being. Not that I'll never revisit it. I certainly hope that in the future I have points in my life where I kind of go through intense periods of practice. Obviously, I still want to get better at guitar. I don't think I am anywhere close to being there yet, right? But the issue for all of us as musicians is, when is good enough enough? Right? You've practiced for a year or two now. Now it's time to get off your ass, go find a band, and start making music with other people for other people. Because that's ultimately what this is about. So hopefully this video just serves as kind of some motivation for you to just be content with where you're at in your musical journey. It's perfectly normal to have periods of your life where you're having frequent dedicated practice, and there's also going to be kind of some dry spells in that regard. It's so easy to get stuck in the trap of, I'm not good enough yet, or when I do X or Y or Z, then I can be able to do this. If I could just alternate pick at 150 beats per minute, then I'd be good enough to play live. And that's all nonsense. So that was kind of the whole point of this video. I appreciate you watching it, just listen to me ramble about kind of some thoughts about my musical journey. Hopefully it can resonate with some of you, and it can help you kind of give you that boost in the next direction that you need to stay motivated on this crazy journey that is music.